I'd like to congratulate PDA on their 75th anniversary. Say thank you and congratulations to all the staff, all of the members over the last 75 years who've been a part of it and made it such an incredible organization. Congratulations.
I'm really excited to be here today to talk with Nikki Mehringer, who was the 2004-2005 chairman of the board of PDA. And Nikki, I just want to welcome you.
Thank you.
Welcome. And I've got a few questions I want to ask you about PDA, so I hope that's okay.
It's fine.
So, how did you get involved in PDA?
Well, I first went to training sessions, and I went to an annual meeting in Chicago. I was looking for a place to go to learn more about aseptic processing, and I heard from more than one person PDA is the place to go.
All right. Well, thinking back to when you first got really involved and you had your first volunteer opportunity, can you tell me a little bit about that and how did it turn out?
I never really volunteered for my first volunteer opportunity. I was volunteered by my boss, who heard that PDA was looking for a new chair for the QA/QC interest group, and he put my name forward, and then he told me. So after thanking him for that, I asked him a little bit about what would be expected of me. He said, "Don't worry, you'll have support of the PDA staff, the other members, the other volunteers. They've done this before. They'll make sure you know what you need to know." And they did. So that ended up being a great entry-level leadership position for PDA.
Well, that's fantastic. You know, we always love when people get volunteered. So this is a great story. So think about that time when you got elected to the board of directors and then the chairman of the board. Could you tell me a little bit about how that felt?
Well, by the time I was elected to the board of directors, I, of course, had a lot more experiences in PDA. It's very similar to the way you progress through your own company. I started out as chair of the QA/QC interest group. Then, over periods of time, I became a member of the Regulatory Affairs Board. After that, I chaired a PDA-FDA joint conference, which is really where I learned how important the staff of PDA is and how to work with them. When you chair a meeting, you really learn a lot about the inner workings of PDA. So by the time I was ready to consider running for the board, I felt like I had a little bit broader background. And of course, it's an honor to be elected when you find out you're elected to the board of PDA, because you know so many people who have had such impact on the association and have been on the board. I think when I went into my first board meeting, I thought, I need to get the lay of the land here a little bit. I feel like I've had the right background, but maybe I just want to sit for a while and see how this works. There was no time for that. When you're a board member, you're a board member. There's no such thing as a junior board member. Your voice counts like everybody else, your vote counts like everybody else, and there was work to be done. So you get immersed in it pretty quickly.
Great. So Nikki, you were just the second female chair of the PDA. And so tell me a little bit about how that felt being a pioneer.
Well, I don't think I felt like a pioneer. The first woman who was chair of PDA board was Joyce Idlet, and she was an inspiration to me. She was such a credible leader. You remember working with Joyce. It was delightful to work with Joyce. She was a strong leader and she was fun all at the same time. So Joyce was chair about probably 6 years before I was, and she set the bar very high, but she had set the precedent. So by the time I had been on the board for several years and I ran, I didn't feel like I was a pioneer. I felt like I'm going to be chair of PDA. This is quite a challenge. The most important thing is do a good job. But then an interesting thing happened while I was chair. I did discover that it was a meaningful thing to a great many people. And what happened is, when I would go to PDA events, people would just approach me, not in a formal manner, but as a matter of conversation, and say, "It's very nice, we're happy to see a woman in this position again. I feel like I was a link in a chain that maybe Joyce started and went on, and now we have, a great many women who've been impactful to PDA, and I'm just happy I could be a part of that part of the story.
Yeah, in fact, I don't know if you know this or not, but the entire executive committee for the board is now female.
I did not know that.
And so this is the first time that has happened, and we're very excited about that. So Nikki, maybe you can tell me a little bit about how the company you work for supported all of your involvement in PDA.
Well, as I told you, it was my boss's idea that I become more involved, that I kind of go from a customer of PDA to a very active member of PDA. And when he did that, he gave me 2 good reasons. He was a wise man. He said, first of all, you need to not only know how your company works, you need to know how the industry works. And you need to get out and involved in order to get that perspective. And secondly, he said, you need to build a network. Nobody can give you their network. You have to build your own, and you have to invest in that. And if you become a volunteer PDA, you can accomplish both of those things. So that gave me kind of some goals to work towards as I was moving through PDA. He was absolutely right on both counts.
So Nikki, thinking back about personal and professional life, how did PDA impact both of those?
Well, PDA was just a valuable part of my career. When I think of my career, I think of, what I was doing in my real job, that job that paid us money actually, and how I was moving from role to role there, and how I was also moving from role to role at PDA. And it just was sort of a parallel journey. And as time went on, the two merged. It wasn't, gee, I'm doing this and I'm doing that. They fed each other, I think. The things I learned one place, I could apply another place. As a part of PDA, and especially as a part of the leadership group, I think back of how I learned how other people thought, what was important to them, what they prioritized, the process they used to make decisions as we faced decisions together, either on committees that were working on responses to regulatory documents, or as setting strategic plans for the PDA. All of that was similar to things I might be doing in my real job. So it was incredibly valuable, and it kind of morphed into one story instead of two.
Perfect. If you could talk to a PDA member who's just joined PDA, maybe they've been to their first PDA meeting, what would you tell them about how they should become more involved in PDA, and how should they take full advantage of their PDA membership?
I think just be open. Be open to the possibilities. As you attend PDA meetings, it's a volunteer organization. So all you have to do is hold up your hand and say, I'll volunteer for something. Follow your interests and be open. See where it takes you.
Thanks so much, Nikki. We really enjoyed speaking with you today, and thanks for taking the time.
It's great to see you again, Glenn.
So Nixie. Hey, Nixie.
Yeah, Glenny.
So Nikki, now I'm going to say Nixie.
I know.
Okay.
Just take a second.
Okay.